All right, friends. Next week we'll read a Christmas story, but this week we'll be looking at a Hanukkah book, learning a little bit more about Hanukkah. This book is The Ziz and the Hanukkah Miracle. We've talked over the years about different aspects of Hanukkah, including lighting of the menorah, each of the 8 nights of Hanukkah, the latkes, of course, that everybody's familiar with eating, playing with the dreidel. And I want to remind everyone, Hanukkah this year begins on December 10th. Unlike Christmas, which is on a particular date every year, Hanukkah is based on a Jewish calendar, so its date varies year to year, a little bit like Easter. And this year it is December 10th through 18th. All right, we'll read our Hanukkah story now. All right, here we go with The Ziz and the Hanukkah Miracle. Since the beginning of time, animals have felt sad at summer's end, when night comes earlier and earlier each day. No one was sadder than the Ziz, a gigantic yellow bird with huge red wings and a purple feathered forehead, who lived on top of a mountain. When the days were short, the Ziz didn't feel sleepy at sunset. Even worse, the Ziz couldn't see to make his dinner. He couldn't tell if he was picking up a cucumber or an ear of corn. Yuck, the Ziz grumbled. I hate cucumbers. The Ziz decided he needed light in the evenings, but where could he get it? I know. The Ziz flapped his wings and danced. He loved coming up with good ideas. I'll get some fireflies. The Ziz flew to a warm, wet place and chased fireflies with a net. But when he got them back to his nest, they wouldn't glow. What's wrong? Cried the Ziz. We don't like being squished together in this net, the fireflies said. Let us out and we'll share our light. That sounds fair, the Ziz said. He opened the net and all the fireflies flew away. Wait, the Ziz called. The fireflies were gone. He needed another idea. I know, the Ziz said. I'll get some lanternfish. They can't fly away. The next day he stood in the ocean. The Ziz was so huge, the water only came up to his knees. As soon as he saw the bright lights of the lanternfish, he scooped them up into a pot. Give me light, the Ziz commanded. No, the lanternfish said. We don't like it in here. The Ziz begged for hours, but the fish refused to share their light. He needed another idea. A full moon peeked out from under the clouds and then disappeared. That's it! The Ziz flapped his wings. I'll catch the moon. He flew up into the sky with a huge piece of rope and tugged and tugged. The Ziz was the biggest bird on earth, but he couldn't budge the moon. What am I going to do? The Ziz plopped back down in his nest, discouraged. He had done everything he could on his own. It was time to ask God for help. The next morning, the Ziz flew to Mount Sinai, the special place where he always talked with God. I can't see to eat my dinner, the Ziz complained. You're right. God's big voice rumbled through the clouds. The days are short this time of year. Will you fix it? No, God said firmly, but I can make it easier to bear. A bolt of lightning hit the ground. The Ziz turned to see a lamp filled with oil. What's this? The Ziz asked. Take it home, God commanded, and see. Every evening, the oil lamp burned brightly. The Ziz could see to eat his dinner. and fluff up his bed in his nest. He could even read himself a bedtime scroll. Light, light, a flicker, flame, or spark makes my heart happy in the dark. The Ziz watched the lovely flame for hours, singing and smiling. But he wasn't the only one. Raccoons, foxes, hedgehogs, rabbits, owls, and other animals crept closer and closer each night. They needed something to brighten up the long, dark hours, too. One night, the Ziz saw 50 pairs of eyes enjoying his beautiful lamp. "No!" the Ziz squawked. "It's mine! It's mine!" The Ziz was so upset he couldn't sleep. In the morning, he grabbed his light and took off to find another place to live. He flew over mountains, he flew over trees, he flew over valleys, he flew over seas. In the afternoon, the Ziz stopped to rest at a magnificent stone building. Two men were talking outside. The Ziz snuck closer to listen. "The war is over. The holy temple has been scrubbed from top to bottom. It is time for rededication. Let us light the menorah and celebrate." "But Judah," the other men said, "we only have enough oil to last one day." "How long will it take to make more?" Judah asked. 8 whole days. "We can't wait," Judah decided. "The menorah must be lit now." The other man walked back inside. Judah Maccabee sat down on the stone steps and put his head in his hands. The Ziz watched, feeling sad. Did God know about this? The Ziz flew off to Mount Sinai, carrying his lamp. He's up there with his lamp. Guess what? The Ziz poked his purple feathered head into heaven. "There's a man named Judah at your holy temple. He needs oil for the menorah." "You don't have to tell me," God answered. "I know everything." "Are you going to help him?" "No," said God. "You are." "Me?" The Ziz shook his purple feathered head. Sometimes God was confusing. "What can I do?" God sighed. It sounded like the wind groaning in a storm. "Don't you have any ideas?" "No, I don't." The Ziz hopped up and down, and that's why I'm asking. God was silent for a few moments. "Have you thought about sharing?" "Sharing? What can I share?" "The oil in your lamp," God said quietly. "No!" the Ziz cried. "I want my light. It's mine. It's mine." The Ziz flew away from Mount Sinai without saying goodbye. He had never disobeyed God before, but God had never asked him to do anything this hard. "Mine," the Ziz sobbed. "Mine." The Ziz was crying so much he couldn't see in the dark. He was headed straight for the holy temple, about to crash into the ceiling, but just at the last second, the Ziz saw the 7-branched menorah shining through the open door. Whoops! He swerved and hit the temple steps instead. The Ziz tiptoed up to the front door. He watched the light dancing on the temple walls and ceiling. "Pretty," he cooed. "Yes, it is," came a small, squeaky voice. The Ziz bent his long neck down to see. A family of mice stood at the temple door enjoying the menorah. Their faces were happy until the light started to sputter and fade. "What's happening?" the baby mouse cried, frightened. The father mouse shook his head. "The menorah is running out of oil." "Oh no," the Ziz said. He picked up his beautiful lamp and looked at it sadly. "Who can help?" the baby mouse asked. "I can," the Ziz said. He tried to walk through the temple door, but he bumped his head. The Ziz was too big to fit. "We'll take it for you," the mice said. Together, the mouse family dragged the oil lamp up to the menorah, and Owl flew in and helped them. Soon the light was burning brightly as before. The Ziz jumped up and down, flapping his wings. "It's beautiful! The most beautiful light ever!" For 8 nights, the mouse family helped the Ziz share his oil with the Maccabees. On the 9th day, Judah rushed up to the temple steps with a jar of oil. "It's a miracle! The light is still burning." The Ziz picked up his lamp and flew back to his nest. All day he moped on the mountain top. What would he do when it got dark? There was only a little bit of oil left in his lamp. But at sunset, the Ziz had a surprise. His lamp was brighter than ever. The Ziz could see to make his dinner. He could fluff his bed and read his scrolls. Everything was just as it had been before. Except that night, when the hedgehog, the fox, the raccoon, and all the little animals tiptoed up to his home, the Ziz invited them in. Together, they watched the lovely flame dancing in the darkness. Light, light, a flicker, flame, or spark makes my heart happy in the dark. The author's note says the holiday of Hanukkah commemorates the victory of the Maccabees over the Syrians more than 2,000 years ago. After the war, the Maccabees scrubbed the temple in Jerusalem for rededication. However, they only found 1 jar of pure oil, enough to last 1 day, to light the 7-branched candelabra called the menorah. It took 8 days to process more purified oil. However, a miracle occurred, and the menorah burned brightly for 8 days. This is why Hanukkah is celebrated for 8 days with the lighting of candles. The story never gives any explanation for the miracle of the oil. For all we know, the Ziz might have helped. All right, friends, and that is the Ziz and the Hanukkah Miracle.